My Lords, my speech follows on rather neatly from the noble lady Baroness Young of Old Scone, but I will begin not by being churlish, but turning this round the other way and declaring my position as a member of Peers for the Planet, to pay a great deal of tribute to the noble lady Baroness Hayman, who so led the government in the right direction on this bill, as indeed on the Financial Services Bill, just thinking of one of the recent ones before this. And I'd like to think that maybe it's got a little bit easier this time than it was on the Financial Services Bill, so maybe we are progressing to the point where a bill will arrive in your Lordship's House with climate and environment already there, and we can just focus on trying to strengthen it and improve it. And I think the noble Lord Stevens has obviously been also hugely important in the progress we've made here, and he referred to the IPCC report yesterday, which I think relates to an earlier group we were discussing. The IPCC, I think the first time I've seen this, is really explicit about the impact, particularly of the climate emergency, on people's mental health and all of the events associated with the climate emergency. And if you just look around the globe at this moment, southern Paraguay is enveloped in a giant ash cloud from fires in Argentina. Queensland and northern New South Wales is got absolutely record floods, and the city of Brisbane has its second enormous unprecedented flood in 11 years. And that is something that has massive impacts, understandably, the stress, the worry, the suffering on physical health, but also mental health. But I want to pick up particularly the point from the noble lady Baroness Young of Old Scone, and I noticed, like her, that the Minister kind of said climate and then added environment as an afterthought. And anyone who looks at the Hansard from committee will see that I very much majored on environment and a couple of aspects of environment. Biodiversity obviously is huge, but there's also the issue of antibiotic resistance. And the debates between the noble lady, the Minister, and myself on the issue of the government's inadequate approach to antibiotic resistance goes back to the Medicines and Medical Devices Bill. I also raised in committee the issue of PFAS, the forever chemicals, and these are huge issues for the NHS. And particularly, just to mention one final area that I also raised on committee, was the issue of plastics. And before the pandemic, I chaired a really excellent event seeing some really good progress in the NHS on seeking to reduce the use of single-use plastics. Understandably, that has really stalled in the light of the COVID pandemic for reasons we can all understand. But it's really important that that goes back as a focus. And also, there is so much plastic use in the NHS that is really easily avoidable. And I'd like to ask a very simple question. Why is anyone in the NHS anywhere having drinks in plastic bottles? The kind of thing that's very easy to get rid of. And I focus on that because I spoke a little in committee about microplastics. And I'm just going to cite 3 studies that have come out since committee. Microplastics has been found in the placenta and the bodies of newborn babies. Microplastics, chemicals from microplastics have been linked to obesity, and there's studies with mouse fat cells where chemicals from microplastics are promoting the growth and of fat cells. And thirdly, some studies out of China showing relative gut health being very closely related to the level of microplastic in people's bodies. Now, those, my lords, are studies in the last month. We've got a world choked with plastics. We have a world wildly overheated. We have a world, as the noble lady Baroness Soane said, where biodiversity is in collapse. The NHS is, I think, starting to focus on these things, but we need to see, as the IPCC said, that these are not 2 separate issues, health and environment. We live in the environment, and we have to look after the environment with every part of our activities.